Your body is quietly paying a price every single day you sit for hours, and most people don't even realize it until stiffness, fatigue, and discomfort become part of their normal life. What if just 15 minutes could start reversing that pattern in a real, noticeable way? Not with complicated workouts, not with exhausting routines, but with intentional movement that tells your body it is safe, open, and ready to recover again. Stay with this because what you are about to go through is not just stretching. It is a complete reset for a body that has been compressed, locked, and held in the same position for too long. Most people try to fix this problem at night with passive stretching. They hold positions, wait for muscles to loosen, and hope the discomfort fades. But after a full day of sitting, your body doesn't respond well to stillness. It doesn't need to be held in place again. It needs to be guided through movement. When you sit all day, your nervous system learns one pattern: tight, closed, restricted. And if you only stretch without movement, you are speaking the same language your body already understands. Nothing really changes. What your body actually needs is movement-based recovery. It needs new information. It needs to feel range, flow, and control again. That is why this 15-minute routine is built around active restoration instead of passive holding. The entire process is divided into 3 connected phases: decompression, flow, and integration. Each phase builds on the previous one, gradually shifting your body from stiffness into freedom and from tension into recovery. The goal is simple: improve how your body feels, not just in the moment, but the next morning and beyond. Better sleep, less stiffness when you wake up, and a body that feels like it actually recovered overnight instead of staying stuck in yesterday's tension. The process begins with ground decompression, starting in a child's pose. From this position, the focus shifts into lateral reaching. One arm extends out to the side while the body gently follows. This is not about forcing a stretch. It is about creating space along the side of your body. Your rib cage, your back, your hips all begin to open in a way they rarely get to during a normal day of sitting. When you spend hours at a desk, your rib cage barely expands. Your spine stays fixed. Over time, this reduces natural mobility. So here, the intention is to reverse that compression. Each reach creates subtle expansion between the ribs and spine. With each breath, you allow that space to grow naturally instead of forcing it. You switch sides slowly, noticing differences between one side and the other. That difference is important. It reflects how your body has adapted to daily habits. You repeat this movement with control, around 10 reps per side, staying relaxed and present. The purpose is not intensity. It is awareness and gradual release. You are not trying to fix everything in one moment. You are simply giving your body room to open again. From here, the movement shifts into cat-cow, transitioning into downward dog. This is where spinal mobility starts to return in a more dynamic way. You begin at the base of your spine and move slowly upward, one segment at a time. The motion travels through your lower back, mid-back, and finally, your neck. Nothing is rushed. Each part of the spine is encouraged to participate again. Most people lose this segmented spinal control because sitting turns the spine into a fixed structure rather than a moving chain. This exercise restores that natural wave-like motion. At the top of each movement, you actively press the ground away, creating space between your joints. Some areas will feel smooth, others will feel restricted. That contrast is normal. It simply shows where your body needs more attention. You continue this flow for around 10 controlled repetitions, focusing on smooth transitions rather than speed. Over time, this movement starts to wake up your entire posterior chain, from the base of your spine all the way through your upper back. Next comes supine knee circles. You lie on your back and bring your knees towards your chest. From here, you begin slow circular motions with the knees together. The movement stays controlled but not rigid. Your hips are allowed to move freely while your lower back stays relaxed against the floor. At first, the circles remain small. Then gradually, they expand. This is where hidden tension begins to surface. The hips carry everything from the day, sitting, standing, even unconscious posture habits. As you move, you may notice tight areas releasing slowly. Nothing is forced. Everything is guided through gentle exploration. One direction is maintained for about 30 seconds before switching to the opposite direction. This balance is important because both sides of the hip need equal attention. After this, a noticeable lightness often appears in the lower back, as if pressure has started to melt away. At this point, the body has already started shifting out of compression. The joints are more open, the spine is more mobile, and the hips are less restricted. Now the system is ready to move into the next stage, where motion becomes more coordinated and connected. This is where we begin slow flow work, starting with quadruped hip circles and building into deeper control of the hips and spine working together. Continuing directly from the previous phase, your body is now no longer in that tight, compressed state it started with. There is already more space in your spine. Your hips feel slightly lighter, and your nervous system is beginning to shift away from that stuck all-day sitting pattern. Now the goal is not just to open the body, but to reteach it how to move smoothly again. This is where we enter the slow flow phase, where movement becomes more connected, controlled, and intentional. You start in a hands and knees position for quadruped hip circles. At first glance, this looks simple, but the purpose here is very specific. You begin to draw slow circles with your hips while keeping your upper body stable. The key is that your spine does not collapse or lock. It follows naturally as the hips guide the motion. Most people lose this separation over time. They stop moving their hips independently and start moving their whole body as one stiff unit. This is your chance to reverse that. You begin with small circles, almost controlled and subtle. Then you gradually increase the range as your comfort allows. You are not rushing and you are not forcing depth. You are simply exploring where your body feels smooth and where it feels restricted. Those tight areas are not random. They are signals. They show exactly where your daily posture has limited your natural movement. After 30 seconds in one direction, you switch and repeat on the other side. The purpose is balance. Both hips must be reintroduced to full circular motion so your body does not stay uneven. Over time, this helps restore natural hip coordination, which directly affects your walking, sitting, and even your lower back comfort. From here, the movement transitions into a low lunge flow. You step one foot forward into a lunge position, but instead of holding it still like a stretch, you begin to move within it. You gently rock forward and backward, then slightly side to side. This dynamic motion is what makes the difference. Your hip flexors, which stay shortened for most of the day due to sitting, are finally being guided through both lengthening and shortening again. This is not about pushing into pain or forcing a deep stretch. It is about rhythm. Some days your body will allow more depth and some days less. Both are completely normal. The important part is consistency of movement, not intensity. As you continue, you start to feel the front of the hip opening. Not through pressure, but through motion and control. After around 30 seconds, you switch sides and repeat the same process. The difference between the two sides often becomes noticeable here. One hip may feel tighter or less responsive, which is simply a reflection of how your body has been used throughout the day and over time. Next, you move into an active pigeon flow. Instead of holding a static pigeon pose, you stay in motion. One leg is positioned in front, and you gently lean forward and come back up repeatedly. You may also add slight side-to-side movement. This constant motion allows the hip joint to release gradually instead of locking into one uncomfortable position. This is important because the nervous system responds better to movement than to stillness when it comes to releasing deep tension. As you continue, you will notice that some areas of the hip start to soften quickly, while others take more time. There is no need to rush that process. The goal is simply to keep moving and let the body decide when to release. You complete around 10 controlled repetitions per side. Throughout this, your weight stays mostly supported by your body position, not your hands. You only use your hands for balance, not for holding yourself up. If the stretch feels too intense, you can slightly elevate your front leg for comfort. From here, you transition into 1990s hip switches. You sit on the floor with both legs bent at 90 degrees in opposite directions. Slowly, you rotate from one side to the other in a controlled motion. This is one of the most effective ways to restore hip internal and external rotation, which is often lost due to prolonged sitting. The key here is control. You are not dropping or falling into each side. You are actively guiding your body through the movement. This helps rebuild coordination between your hips and spine. With each repetition, you may notice the movement becoming smoother and less restricted. You complete around 20 total transitions, about 10 per side. As you do this, you are essentially reintroducing your hips to their full range of motion, something they rarely experience during a normal day. At this point, your body has moved through decompression and flow. The joints are more open, movement is smoother, and tension is already reduced. Now the focus begins to shift toward integration, where everything you have opened starts to settle and connect into a more relaxed functional state. You lie back down and move into a supine pigeon bridge position. One ankle is placed over the opposite knee, forming a figure 4 shape. From here, you gently press the knee outward and lift your hips slightly off the ground. This creates a deep but controlled release through the glutes, hips, and lower back. As you lift and hold, you breathe slowly and deeply. You are not trying to push your body to its limit. You are simply allowing gravity and breath to guide the release. The tension begins to melt gradually through the entire posterior chain. After a short duration, you switch sides and repeat. You will likely notice that one side feels tighter or more resistant than the other. That imbalance is normal and reflects how your body carries daily habits. The purpose is not to fix it instantly, but to acknowledge it and gently work through it. From here, the final movement begins with a happy baby flow. You lie on your back, hold your feet, and gently rock side to side. This position creates a natural decompression in your spine, while also opening the hips in a very relaxed way. As you move, your lower back starts to soften against the floor. Your breathing naturally slows down. Your nervous system begins to shift into a calmer state, signaling that the active part of your day is ending. This is not just a stretch, it is a transition from tension into recovery. You continue this movement as long as it feels comfortable, gradually slowing everything down. The body starts to feel lighter, more open, and less reactive. At this stage, you are no longer forcing change. You are allowing it. At this stage, your body is no longer in the same state it was at the beginning of this routine. The stiffness has started to fade, the joints feel more open, and your nervous system is shifting away from that constant tense and compressed pattern that comes from long hours of sitting. Now we enter the final integration phase, where everything you have opened, moved, and released begins to settle into a calmer, more recovered state. You begin again on your back, setting up for a supine pigeon bridge. One ankle is placed across the opposite knee, forming a figure 4 shape. This position immediately targets deep areas of the hips and glutes that usually stay tight after sitting all day. Instead of forcing the stretch, you gently press the knee outward and slowly lift your hips just slightly off the ground. The lift is controlled and small, just enough to activate the release without creating strain. As you hold this position, your breath becomes the most important tool. Each inhale creates space, and each exhale allows the muscles to soften further. The tension does not disappear all at once. It gradually melts from the glutes, travels through the lower back, and even affects the mid-back, because everything in the posterior chain is connected. This is not just a hip stretch, it is a full body release pattern. After a few controlled breaths, you lower your hips back down and switch sides. The difference between the two sides becomes more obvious here. One hip may feel heavier, tighter, or less responsive. That is not a problem. It is simply your body showing its natural imbalance from daily habits. The goal is not perfection, but awareness and gradual restoration. Once both sides are completed, your body transitions into a deeper state of relaxation with a happy baby flow. You lie flat on your back, hold your feet, and gently rock from side to side. This movement may look simple, but it has a powerful effect. It gently decompresses the spine while allowing the hips to open in a completely supported position. As you rock slowly, your lower back begins to settle more deeply into the floor. The pressure that was built up throughout the day starts to release. Your breathing naturally slows down without effort. This is your nervous system shifting from a state of activity into recovery. The body begins to understand that the day is ending and it is safe to let go. You continue this movement without forcing any direction or depth. Some moments feel more open, others feel slightly restricted, and both are completely normal. The key is to stay relaxed and let the motion guide the release. Over time, the movement becomes softer, slower, and more fluid, almost like the body is unwinding itself naturally. As the flow begins to slow, you start to notice a change, not just in your body, but in your overall internal state. The tension in your hips reduces, the spine feels lighter. Even your breathing pattern becomes deeper and more natural. This is the integration phase doing its job, bringing everything back into balance after movement-based release. Now you gradually bring stillness into the body, staying in a comfortable position on your back. There is no rush to move anymore. The goal is to let the nervous system fully settle. Your body has already been given movement, space, and release. Now it needs calm to absorb that change. As you lie still, you may notice subtle sensations, warmth in the hips, lightness in the lower back, or a sense that your body is no longer holding the same tension it had earlier. This is the result of consistent, controlled movement through restriction instead of forcing static stretching or aggressive pressure. This final stillness is where the real recovery begins. Your nervous system starts to downshift more deeply, preparing your body for better sleep. Muscles that were overactive during the day begin to relax, joint pressure decreases, the body transitions from a working state into a repair state. When you consistently perform a routine like this, the changes start to build over time. Sleep becomes deeper and more restorative. Morning stiffness reduces significantly. You begin to feel more mobile and less restricted throughout the day. Even simple movements like standing, walking, or bending feel easier because your body is no longer holding old tension patterns. This is not about doing something extreme or complicated. It is about consistency with simple, intelligent movement that respects how the body actually functions. Your body was never designed to stay in one position for hours. It was designed to move, adapt, and recover through motion. So when you give it just 15 minutes of focused movement like this, you are not just stretching, you are resetting your entire system. You are reminding your joints how to move, your muscles how to release, and your nervous system how to relax. And that is the real purpose of this routine. Not temporary relief, but long-term change in how your body feels and functions every single day. Now all that remains is consistency. Practice this regularly, let your body adapt over time, and pay attention to how your energy, mobility, and recovery improve. Because the more you repeat this simple process, the more your body will thank you with better movement, better sleep, and a lighter, more open way of living. If you found this helpful, stay connected for more routines like this and explore how small daily habits can completely transform how your body feels over time.